lot of people say that there was the moment. Enter my experts, though. Scott McClellan is former White House press secretary to President George W. Bush. He is still in Simi Valley and in Washington, D.C. today. Former battleground state director for President Obama in 2012. Mitch Stewart. Scott, I want to begin with you. That was one heck of a way to go after Donald Trump for what he did in that magazine article to Carly Fiorina regarding her face. But did that effectively make her the winner, or did a lot more lead to what people are saying made her a winner?
Well, I think it's the post-debate analysis that's going on that made her the winner, as much as that moment in that line. That was a very strong moment for her, a very strong line, and she showed that she has not only the look, but the talk to compete in this primary, and she is going to get a lot of benefit from this. She has a wave that she can ride for a long time right now, and she ought to make the most of it. Donald Trump threw her a fast pitch right down the middle, and she knocked it out of the park with that moment in that line.
Did she ever? All right, Mitch, I want you to weigh in on that moment between Jeb Bush and Donald Trump. A lot of the analysts are saying Jeb knocked it out of the park with how he dealt with Donald Trump and what Donald Trump did early in the campaign trail, and that was go after the way he believes Jeb is soft on immigration because he has a Mexican wife. Watch this moment and let's talk about it.
You're proud of your family, just as I am.
Correct.
To subject my wife into the middle of a raucous political conversation was completely inappropriate, and I hope you apologize for that, Donald.
Well, I have to tell you, I hear phenomenal things. I hear your wife is a lovely woman.
She is.
I
She's
don't
fantastic.
know her, and this
she
is
is
a total
absolutely the love of my life, and she's right here. And why don't you apologize for her?
No, I won't
right
do that
now.
because I said nothing wrong.
Mitch, a very effective strategy. Some people are saying that was terrific for him. Other people saying he should have really ridden that one out. He should have made that an awkward moment. Do you think he did enough there?
Well, there's a couple things that strike out about that exchange. The first is there used to be some sacred rails in politics that you didn't touch, and attacking another person's family, certainly spouse, was one of those. And Donald Trump's candidacy, for whatever reason, has turned that sort of conventional wisdom on its head. As far as Jeb Bush specifically, I get the sense that he doesn't like campaigning. Every time I see him speak, whether it's engaging Donald Trump or others, I just get the sense that he doesn't like being there. And I think in order for him, he seems like a very decent person, but in order for him to start engaging the public in a way that's meaningful, he's going to have to get more comfortable on stage. And so that exchange is one example of that. But the other is this really awkward low five that he gave Donald Trump towards the end of the debate. I don't know if he's trying to rip Donald Trump's arm off, or if that's the first time he's ever given somebody a low five, but he just does not seem like a comfortable candidate up on stage.
Yeah, it did seem like some of it was a little awkward. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Jeb Bush bounced back. I mean, it's in the Bush DNA. I mean, they bounced back when they are competitors, and he had a number of good moments when he was defending his wife, which you just showed, when he was defending his brother, and then when he showed humor at the end with his Ever Ready being his Secret Service code name and showing that he had some passion and energy in this debate. He did not have to win, but he needed to show, and he showed. Now, whether or not that translates into any much momentum is still to be determined. I think he still needs to find that moment when he can gain the big mo, as his father used to talk about, and he didn't quite get that last night, but he probably appeased his donors and his supporters enough to continue to build upon.
You're right, Scott. I think he also hit it. One second, I think you really hit it hard as well with that whole notion that you came to me for money, Donald Trump, to build a casino in my state, and I shut you down. And I got a lot of applause, too, and he was real tough on that, and he showed his confidence on that one. But I do want to move on to Chris Christie, guys, because there was a moment where Chris Christie, he just seized it. He grabbed the moment between Donald Trump and Carly Fiorina, where they were both going over their business bona fides and attacking the other for their business missteps. And then in came Chris Christie with this. Have a listen to this.
I'm as entertained as anyone by this personal back and forth about the history of Donald and Carly's career. For the 55-year-old construction worker out in that audience tonight who doesn't have a job, who can't fund his child's education, I got to tell you the truth. They could care less about your careers. They care about theirs.
All right, I want to ask you, Mitch, was that the moment he needed, or was that just one of a few that he was able to harness and parlay into some real attention on TV and through the papers today?
Yeah, I think Chris Christie had the best night of the second runs, so to speak. So if you look at some of the others, Huckabee, Rand Paul, Scott Walker, folks who absolutely had to have a good night, he did, I think, by far the best. He was, I think, the first candidate. Unfortunately, it was 90 minutes into the debate, but the first candidate to bring up the middle class and start talking about issues that impact everyday Americans, and sort of get away from the circus or the clown show that Donald Trump naturally brings to a debate stage and start talking about real issues.
All right, Scott, talk to me about Ben Carson. A lot of the headlines today, where was he? Where was the Ben Carson from debate number one? He didn't seem to show up last night. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, I think this was a tough night for Ben Carson. Debates are not his strong suit. But with that said, he does have that humility, that sincerity, that conviction that his supporters like, so it probably helped compensate a bit for his performance or his lack of engaging in there. It was really kind of hard to follow him when he was talking about Afghanistan, and not to mention that his position might be out of step with primary voters. So I suspect he's probably going to drop back down a little bit, but he still has strong support out there, and people like that humility. They like that strength of conviction that he shows, even if it's not best suited for a debate stage.
Yeah,
okay,
and I agree with Scott, Ashley. He's the one reasonable voice up there. I don't think his positions are necessarily reasonable. In fact, I don't think they're reasonable at all. But he's the one that has a reasonable demeanor in explaining his positions. And everybody else is trying to outshout Donald Trump. And he's like the one voice in there that has this reasonable demeanor. And I think that does cut through almost accidentally, given his cohorts around him.
Here's what I
certainly measured. Guys, can I
here's what I saw about
one thing real quickly though? We talked a lot about the winners, etc. But I'm not sure if the viewers are seeing a blue screen right now, but I am. So I'm just going to ask you the question if you can still hear me. And if you could, for me, Scott and Mitch, and I'll tell you to go first, Scott. Who are the losers? Just list out who are the losers who may not make it back up onto the next stage.
Oh gosh. Well, I think you look at the people that got.
Well, that definitely, I know, was a mistake right there. Those color bars and that tone. Ouch. Sorry, Scott, I lost you. But if Mitch, I know we got you out of Washington. Our
I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to talk about which Republicans lost the most.
Okay, so go ahead
all the time.
Just give me the list of who you think underperformed enough so that they may not make it back up on stage next time.
Yeah, Scott Walker to me is the biggest loser. I thought Jeb Bush, because of the financial resources he has, he'll be able to weather a couple bad performances on a debate stage. But Scott Walker to me is the one that's just the most puzzling. You can almost imagine his campaign practicing that first joke he had over and over and over again because they really wanted to zing Donald Trump, but then there was just nothing after that. It was a 3-hour debate, and you barely even heard from Scott Walker after that. The biggest mystery to me, Ashley, is this is a guy who's won probably 4 or 5 times, if you include the recounts, in a blue state, Wisconsin. He's taken on the largest institutions in the Democratic Party and won, and beat labor unions and won 4 or 5 statewide elections. And so I think there was a lot of hope about his candidacy, and I think he's at 2% nationally right now. And so I think that campaign my support, and I think it's because he seems a little wooden and scripted. And
I got to wrap it there, but I appreciate it. And you know what? I really